It's time for the Rose Chat Podcast, a podcast dedicated to celebrating the world's most beloved flower, the rose. Join award-winning gardeners Chris VanCleave and Teresa Byington as they chat with rose lovers and experts from around the globe. With each episode, you'll gain valuable knowledge and insights to achieve the rose garden you've always dreamed of. Listen now as we explore the world of roses.
Hey friends, today we have the pleasure of going behind the scenes into the world of rose exhibition to learn about the American Rose Society's publication called New Horizon Roses, now in its 42nd year. Suzanne Horn is here to fill us in on this resource. Suzanne is a writer, speaker, award-winning rose exhibitor, master consulting Rosarian, and horticulture judge for the American Rose Society. She is also the current editor for New Horizon Roses. Hey, Suzanne, welcome to Rose Chat.
Well, hey there. Good to talk to you. I'm going to say this is what you call preaching to the choir, talking roses to people who love roses.
That's so true. Now, you've been busy doing just that. You've been working on the latest edition of New Horizon Roses, right?
Right. It's a year-round project, actually. All year long, I'm seeking information on new roses from hybridizers, from like Weeks and Jackson and Perkins and the smaller hybridizers, nurseries. And I'm looking for photographs, and I'm always looking for contributors, encouraging participation. So it's pretty much a year-round project, but in June is when it starts getting intense. Lots of work.
Yeah, intense is the word for roses in June for sure, and the work around the roses. Now, 42nd year, that's a lot of rose history.
It sure is. Let me tell you a little bit of the background of this publication. Started in 1983, the Tenarchy District Director, Bill McMahon, started something he called the Autumn Checklist of Horizon Roses. He recruited a group of regional editors, and they built a group of reporters throughout the nation. The readers began to refer to the publication as Horizon Roses, and by popular demand, McMahon changed the name. Bob Martin, a top exhibitor, writer, judge, rose evangelist, he became a reporter in 1992, and he was promoted to Southwest Regional Director in 1995. Then in 2006, Bill McMahon retired from Horizon Roses. Bob Martin took over as national editor at Bill's request. Bob held the position of national editor until his untimely passing in 2021. And after that, the American Rose Society was worried that the publication would not go on. And they asked me, would I be willing to do it? And I wanted to continue the legacy of this publication and of my mentor, Bob Martin. And so I took up the gauntlet and started being the editor in 2022.
My goodness. Yes, losing Bob, that was such a shock to all of us. And I know it must have been very hard for you, but I am so thankful that you did pick up the gauntlet to do this work. Couldn't let it pass away. No. Now you mentioned regional editors, and so who's the team that you work with?
Here's the team. In the Deep South and Carolina areas, it's Cindy Dale, a top exhibitor. In the Tenarchy district, it's Jeff and Cindy Garrett. In the Northeast region, it's William Kazemchek. In the Buckeye district, which basically is Ohio, that's Mark Miller. In the South Central and Central regions, Mary Fulgham. In the North Central region, it's our president, Diane Summers. The Pacific Northwest and Rocky Mountain District are represented by Wendy Tilley, and I take the Pacific Southwest. In addition to being national editor, I get the reports from each of the regional editors. They have their own group of reporters who report to them, and then they send everything to me in June and July, which is why it gets a little intense in June and July. So that's the team.
So what are they looking for? What are they sending you? What reports on what?
New Horizon Roses shares the collective knowledge and experience of about 111 of the nation's top exhibitors from 28 states on the exhibition potential of hundreds of roses introduced into commerce in the last 5 years. Now, some roses were previously in commerce overseas and have now been released in the United States. New releases for the first time in the United States of old roses count as new roses. I always like to point out that you should note the locations of the reporters when you read Horizon Roses, as they offer their opinions on these new roses, because a rose that is disease resistant in the East, where black spot is prevalent, may not be disease resistant in the West, where powdery mildew is common. Also, a rose whose blooms may be too small to exhibit in warmer regions may be absolutely great for exhibition in regions with cooler climates. We also have something called the honor roll. That consists of roses that have received high ratings in the past of the publication by exhibitors from a wide cross-section of the country. Honor roll roses are considered bankers, roses you can take to the bank, that they will always win. And they're the consistent top exhibition varieties. We do not continue to report on varieties that have achieved this honor, but they're the best of the best.
Oh my! I saw some of the listings, and they certainly are things that you always see on the main tables at rose shows. Yes. Now, how do we find this publication?
The publication is available on the American Rose Society website as a PDF. When it's first released, probably August, September, through to the end of the year, into the beginning of the next year, it costs like $9.99 to download it as a PDF. If you would like to have the book version, which I was absolutely astounded at how beautiful it was. I thought it was going to be this little tiny paperback thing. It's a big, beautiful book with gorgeous color pictures. I'm thrilled. Anyway, you can buy that on Amazon. At the end of the year, now this is the end of the season for New Horizon Roses 2023, as we're getting ready to publish New Horizon Roses 2024. So now you can go on the ARS website and you can actually get it for free. If you're willing to wait almost a year, you can get it for free.
Well, I've been on the ARS website under the My Area ARS, where we can see all the different publications, which I just love. And I've been looking at the 2022 version, and it really is a remarkable publication. It's just so great. I was looking for information on celestial nights just to have it in my garden, and it was just so fun to read what everyone had to say about it. But in particular, Andy Platts, who's in my region, had loads of great things to say about it. So it's just really helpful information, whether you're an exhibitor or not.
And I also like to, as Bob Martin did, add special feature articles. If we have lost some great legendary exhibitor that year, I want to do remembering, like I believe last year was remembering the great Louise Coleman. Mm-hmm. This year coming up, I'm going to do something remembering Miss Daisy from K&M Roses, the first lady of K&M Roses, who we lost this year, and how her husband Jim continues to put out the greatest exhibition roses in the country. So that's a little special things here and there.
Oh, it's very nice. Now, how many pages would you say? Do you remember how many pages are in the current edition?
Hold on. Hold on. I wasn't sure I could get off this page, but I'd have to pick up the book. It's a few hundred pages.
Yes, well, that's enough for our listeners to know that it's a lot of pages. But by reading it online, there is a search feature. So all I had to do was go up to the little search feature, put in whatever rose that I want, and it just pops right to it. I love that. I absolutely love that.
I'm looking right now at New Horizon Roses 2024 that I'm currently working on. It has 339 pages, but it will be more.
Oh my, it's very comprehensive. There are a lot of roses there. This is just a wonderful, wonderful resource.
Again, I'm relentless in searching out new roses.
Now, if we have someone who's interested in becoming someone that works with this, maybe not a regional director, but a helper in some way, where would they find more information on how to be a part of the team?
First, I have to point out that New Horizon Roses is not Roses in Review. It's not the same thing at all. Roses in Review is pretty much targeting home gardeners. They do have a check mark for what you think about its exhibition potential, but it's more geared for home gardeners, not exhibitors, where New Horizon Roses is for exhibitors. We want contributions from exhibitors. Last year, I had a couple of contributions from new regional editors, and the person says, well, I don't exhibit, but you don't exhibit, so I don't care. Because this is opinions of exhibitors. That doesn't mean that if you don't exhibit, if you might have a beautiful photograph of one of these new roses, please send it along. But as far as reporting, you have to be an exhibitor to be a reporter. Mm-hmm. But I encourage you to go out and start exhibiting.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. So if our listeners are new to rose shows, you're one of the great award-winning exhibitors. So tell us a little bit about the world of rose shows.
Okay, let's start with exhibiting roses begins with growing good roses. You want to adopt a regular schedule of watering, feeding, and spraying your roses. You want to obtain the best specimens. Then you want to research roses that grow well in your area. Discover what the bankers are in your area. Go to your local rose show. See the varieties that are winning. Look at the roses on our list of the honor roll roses. So discover the bankers in your area and grow multiples of them. And also grow some new varieties, because when the judges are deciding which rose gets the blue ribbon, and if a rose gets the blue ribbon, then it goes up in contention for queen. If it's an older rose that's been around a while, like Fairhope, which is fantastic, been around a long time, still wins. But there might be 10 blooms of Fairhope and only one can get the blue ribbon, even if 5 of them are worthy of a blue ribbon. But if you have a brand new rose that's recently introduced, not too many people are growing it. And so you have an excellent chance of getting a blue ribbon and getting in contention for queen. So grow some new varieties. Then I suggest that you obtain a free copy of the Guidelines for Judging Roses from the American Rose Society website. It will teach you what the judges are looking for, because there's not enough time here to go into that. But then practice grooming your roses at home during the off season. Then when it comes time for the rose show, you can cut and refrigerate all week long, but the freshest cuts have the best chance of winning. You want to cut roses in the early morning or in the late afternoon. Then soak them in tepid water in a darkened room. I put mine in the garage for about an hour, and then refrigerate them until time to go to the show. Something that I absolutely recommend is that you arrive early at the show. Wake up early and arrive early, because the amount of preparation time getting your roses ready, that's the only time all exhibitors are equal at a rose show. And what you're looking for, a brief synopsis, you want an ideal hybrid tea exhibition bloom is like 1/2 to 2/3 open, but read more about it in the guidelines for judging roses. If a rose is only 1/4 open, it's a bud. It's not a bloom. It doesn't qualify. Your foliage should be cleaned of any residue. Clean it with a damp cloth. I like to use a small painter's pad that you get at Home Depot. Microfiber shoe shining cloth is good. And then you want to cut off any damage. As far as stem length, a good rule of thumb is to measure the top of the container to the bottom of the bloom. It should be about 6 times the bloom height. But after a while, you'll be able to eyeball it. And lastly, wedging. You want to place a wedge in the vase to hold the stem at the most advantageous position. And I use styrofoam most of the time, but aluminum foil, plastic wrap, and floral foam like Oasis, that all works. There was a quote that my mentor, Bob Martin, always used, and I say it every show. And that is, never ask yourself why you are doing this on the day of a rose show. Because if that alarm goes off at 3 a.m. or however early you're going to get up, if you ask yourself why you're doing this, you might go back to sleep. So never ask yourself why on the day of a rose show.
When there's so much to do. That's so true. Well, there's one other thing that I would add to your list, and that would be find a mentor. I have learned so much.
Exactly what I was going to say. I left out find a mentor.
It's so important. Just watching, I have watched Mark Nolan and John Hefner through the years just do these, amazing things, which I cannot do. I'm not a primo rose exhibitor, but rose shows are a lot of fun, and you do learn a lot, and you get to see some really beautiful things. But watching those masters, it just really, they're willing to help, and it is just fun just to see them do what they do and to learn from them for sure.
You know what is a great thing to do after you've put your roses in and the judging has happened and they open the rose show? If you can, if you don't have a mentor, if you could go up to one of the top exhibitors and say, could I please have a moment of your time? Most people will be receptive to that. And just say, could you just walk the show with me a little bit and point out why one thing won over something else, and maybe look at my entries, and maybe you have some suggestions. And if you have a mentor, then you can definitely do that. But it's always an educational experience. Also, if you volunteer to clerk, you can watch the judges and listen to them. You can't, add to the conversation, but you can listen to what they say and see why they chose one over the other, and afterwards maybe walk the show with them. That's very helpful.
That is helpful. I've done that many times, and it is very helpful. So you've told us what to do about a show, but now tell us to do about picking roses. What roses would be the best for a beginner to purchase to get started?
I gave that a lot of thought this morning, and I have a number of suggestions for hybrid teas, floribundas, climbers, miniatures, mini floras, shrubs, polyanthus, and old garden roses. I have quite a list, and I would be willing to make that available to anybody who would like it. Just I can send it to you, and you could pass it on to people, or they can just contact me at my email address, and I will send it to people. But why don't I just read off the ones that I have listed so far? Does that sound good?
That sounds great.
Okay, let's start with hybrid teas. Cajun Moon is one of my favorites. It's only available, to the best of my knowledge, right now at K&M Roses.
Mm-hmm.
Gemini, That was my first queen. Gemini continues to be a top exhibition rose, grows great everywhere. K&M has it, Heirloom Roses has it, and Edmonds Roses has it. I'm sure there are even more people that have it. Let Freedom Ring, K&M, Weeks, High Country, Heirloom, Reagan. Lots of places have that. Lots of places have Marilyn Monroe. Moonstone. It's been a good rose for years. K&M has it. Weeks has it. Ring of Fire is probably the top hybrid tea in the country now. It was hybridized by my friend Chris Greenwood, an amateur hybridizer, and he really hit the jackpot. This was like the rose of the century. But K&M has it. Edmonds, Heirloom, Reagan, certified, and I even found some plants at Home Depot. Veterans Honor, a classic red hybrid tea that always wins. K&M, Jackson Perkins, Weeks, Edmonds. Hot Princess is a little harder to find, but K&M has it, and Wisconsin Roses has it. Same thing with Mr. Caleb, one of the great new reds. K&M has it, and Wisconsin Roses has it. And lastly, Sunny Sundays. The only place I know that carries it is K&M Roses. On to Floribundas. A red rose called Lava Glute has been renamed Lava Flow because that's what Lava Glute means in German, lava flow. And lots of places carry that. K&M, Weeks, Reagan, Rogue Valley. Julia Child is one of Tom Caruth's favorite, I think it's probably his favorite rose he ever hybridized. And it's a great, bright yellow. K&M, J&P, Weeks, Spring Hill, Heirloom Roses. One of my favorites is Sexy Rexy. K&M, Weeks, Heirloom, Edmond, High Country. Wonderful, wonderful pink rose. We were talking earlier about Celestial Night. Absolutely sensational rose. J&P, Heirlooms, Spring Hill, Edmonds, Brex, lots of places you can find it. And then there's another bright yellow that's become very popular in the past few years. It's called Sparkle and Shine. Weeks has it, Heirloom, Brex, Reagan, High Country, probably more places than that. As for climbers, Altissimo is a bright red single that has been winning for years and continues to do so. K&M has it, Heirloom, High Country, David Austin Roses has it. Don Juan, I have never grown this, but one of my regional editors swears by it, and it does really, really well. K&M, J&P, and Heirloom carry that. 4th of July is probably the top climber in the country, has been for years. K&M has it, J&P, Heirloom, and Weeks. And my personal favorite is called the Impressionist. It's only available at Heirloom. It was hybridized in-house there, and I fell in love with it years ago, and it continues to win at the shows. When it comes to miniatures, Bee's Knees is an old favorite that continues to perform. It's a great rose for beginners. It requires less attention than most roses. K&M has it. Burlington has it. Fairhope continues to be a winner. K&M and Heirloom carry it. Joy. The last time Bob Martin did a survey of the top winning miniatures, Joy was the top rose in the country. The only place that carries it now is K&M Roses. The Lighthouse, it's my favorite yellow miniature. And for a while it was out of commerce, but now K&M Roses is carrying it. You wouldn't want to be without that. The great new hybridizer, Dave Bang, has a couple of roses on my list. I mean, he has a lot of great roses, but ones that I can absolutely recommend, bar none, are Captivating, which is his favorite, and Swirly Pop. Queen Machine. Both of those are available at K&M. For mini floras, my favorite rose bar none, hands down, is a mini flora called Buttercream that my friend Bob Martin hybridized in the early 2000s. It is a wonderful rose. The only place that has it is K&M, but I just love it. Another great one, Dr. John Dickman. That's a lavender with red edging. It's just terrific. K&M has it, and Burlington Roses does. Showstopper, beautiful pink rose. K&M has it, and Burlington has it. Whirlaway has been the top mini flora in the country for years now, and K&M has it, and High Country Roses carries it. And then two roses from Dave Bang that there are more, but these two are the top of my list right now. K&M has them. One is called Mango Blush, and it was on the cover of the Horizon Roses 2023. And Strawberry Kisses, probably the most popular mini flora right now. Moving on to shrubs. David Austin roses are my favorite shrubs. Golden Celebration and Princess Alexandra of Kent are both available at David Austin Roses, and Heirloom Roses. Moonlight in Paris. It was originally introduced as Garden and Home, and they didn't think that was a very good name, so they changed it to Moonlight in Paris. It is an absolutely wonderful shrub rose. J&P has it, Heirloom, Edmonds, and I just picked up another plant at Home Depot a couple of months ago, and it's already doing fantastic. It was one of those little scraggly roses, and it's now doing fantastic. So Moonlight in Paris is great. And there are classic shrubs. All of those are modern shrubs. In the classic shrub division, my two favorites are Walferdang and Bouquet Parfait. Walferdang is available at Rogue Valley Roses, and Bouquet Parfait is available at Burlington Roses. Moving on to polyanthus. My favorite is Lullaby. Burlington Roses, Rogue Valley. Burlington and Rogue Valley also have Verdun, a wonderful purple polyantha, and White Pet, my second favorite white. And a new introduction in the polyantha ranks is called Pretty Polly Pink. There's Pretty Polly Lavender, Pretty Polly White, but Pretty Polly Pink is the best of the bunch. Star Roses put it out, and it's available at Heirloom Roses too. Lastly, moving on to the old garden roses. The greatest beginner old garden rose is called Rose de Reche. It's fragrant, it's easy care, it's wonderful. David Austin Roses sells it, Heirloom Roses sells it, and High Country Roses has it. Other really good old garden roses, Baronne Prévost and Paul Néron, they're all both available at Burlington, Heirloom, and David Austin Roses. Yolanda de Aragon is probably the top exhibition old garden rose. Heirloom carries it. High Country Roses carries it. Then there's a rose that some people don't even think looks like a rose because it's no petals, just sepals. It's called Green Rose. It's kind of love it or hate it rose, but it does great in collections, and it wins Dowager Queen. It is a very good rose. And Burlington has it, and Heirloom has it. Last but not least, Marchesa Bocella. Beautiful old garden rose, and Burlington has it, High Country Roses has it, and the Antique Rose Emporium has it. Ta-da!
That was impressive. And as you were speaking, it was as though I was walking down the aisles by the tables in Shreveport at the National Rose Show there last April. Absolutely gorgeous roses. What a great list. And so many of them were on display at that national show.
I touched that show.
Oh, my goodness. I couldn't help but think of also a couple of years ago, maybe three, I don't know, COVID sort of got our years kind of twisted around. But I remember being in Bob Martin's garden, And he still had Moonlight in Paris as home or garden and home.
Yep.
And his front garden, and I'm sure you saw it too, but it was absolutely one of the most beautiful rose displays I had ever seen.
Yep. I got it because of Bob.
Oh my goodness. So many roses because of Bob, because his roses were beautiful.
Yes.
Well, that's quite a list. And I want to point out that you gave a webinar, a very good webinar on exhibiting roses made easier, or easy as it is in the title. And it is on the American Rose Society YouTube channel. So it's very easy to find that there. And I think you have another one or two on their channel.
I have New Horizon Roses 2023, the webinar I did for the American Rose Society last September. But that's on there, and I'll be doing another one in September of 2024.
Okay. Now, you also give programs about roses. Let's talk a little bit about that. What do you have coming up?
Well, during the pandemic, boy, did I get spoiled. I was doing programs online for everywhere, for Florida, for the Manhattan Rose Society, I'm even booked to do one in England at some point, and for district conventions in the South and in the Northwest and all over the place. And I didn't even have to get out of my pajamas. It was great. But of course, I'd see all the people online. It was a fun time. But now that the pandemic has waned and people have gone back to a semblance of normalcy, people do want in-person programs again wherever possible. At the end of July, I'll be teaching a judging seminar for Orange County Rose Society. And then in September, I'm doing an exhibiting program for Orange County Rose Society. Also in September, I'm doing a program on growing roses in containers for the Santa Clarita Rose Society. These are all within driving distance, mind you. And for the date to be determined, I'm doing the David Austin program for Mesa East Valley Rose Society. They haven't given me the date yet. And on October 13th, I'm doing the David Austin program for the Nashville Rose Society. So I'm keeping busy.
You are. Now, the Nashville, will that be by Zoom?
Yes.
Oh, maybe I'll get to join.
Yeah. Check it out. October 13th.
Oh, that'll be great. Now, before we let you go, I want to hear a bit about your garden. You grow just a few roses, right?
About 450.
And there's something unique about them. You grow them all in
containers. Bob Martin once said I had the finest all-container garden in the country. I thought that was pretty cool.
That is cool. That is cool. So, do you repeat a lot of roses or?
Absolutely. I repeat so many roses because I love doing collections. Mm-hmm. And so, for instance, my favorite being buttercream, I have 21 plants of that. And I never pass up an opportunity to get more. I have 11 plants of Dr. John Dickman, 10 plants of Joy, 13 plants of Queen of Hope. Great rose, but it's a mildew magnet. Oh. 10 plants of the Lighthouse. There's a David Austin rose that's out of commerce now called Fair Bianca. And I have 10 of those. 10 plants of the Squire, also out of commerce. 11 plants, pardon me. But the problem with the Squire is, number one, it has no fragrance, and number two, it's a mildew magnet. So unless you're a serious exhibitor that specializes in shrubs, you'd probably want to pass on that one. I have 11 plants of Princess Alexandra of Kent. Cannot recommend that more highly. 6 plants of Moonlight in Paris, and the year is young. I might get more of those. Let's see, what do I have? I have 6 plants of Rose de Reche. 13 plants of Ring of Fire, but I'm giving like 3 to a girlfriend. because 10 should be enough. Let's see. Oh, I didn't mention a favorite floribunda, but it's out of commerce and you really can't find it anymore. It's called Fabulous. It's a cross of Sexy Rexy and Iceberg. But it's sensational. But again, it's really hard to find. If you do find it, snap it up. If you can get cuttings, snap it up, because I have 2 of my 13 plants came from cuttings, and now they're as big as all the rest, budded. So I have 8 plants of the Impressionist, 8 Sparkle and Shine, 6 Sexy Rexy, 10 Love Song. So, I have multiples of many.
Well, I'm assuming you have them on some sort of drip irrigation. Am I right?
Wrong. There have been a couple of times that I tried to get drip irrigation set up, but I have not yet been able to find somebody talented and or responsible enough to do it. The first person turned out to be just absolutely terrible, and I just had to say, take the 2,300 you got from me already and go away and don't come back. Then another person in the Rose Society who does this for a living came over, and he got started. He did 1 line of it and then never came back. So I'm still waiting to find just the right person to do this for me. But right now I water everything by hand.
Oh my goodness, that is a labor of love. But we water by hand too, so I understand. It is, it's what we do. So well done you, keeping up with 450. I bet it is beautiful. You'll have to send me pictures.
Absolutely.
Now I'm wondering, as you look at across all of those roses this year, who's standing out this year in particular?
Oh boy. In the hybrid tea division, Cajun Moon is always good. Donna Martin is always good. Jewel Gray.
That's a beauty. Donna
Mr.
Martin.
Caleb. There are a couple of grandifloras. I didn't mention grandifloras. South Africa, State of Grace, and Twilight Zone, all doing very well. Celestial Night is doing fantastic. I have 6 plants of it, and it's absolutely terrific.
I think I'm going to add that one next year. I thought I had it ordered this year, but when our order came, we were not able to. The Celestial Nights were not up to the same standard for our rose sale as the others, and so we decided not to sell them, but to observe them. And so I didn't get that one, but I'm going to have that on my list for next year for sure.
Excellent. I couldn't recommend it more highly. And of course, Ring of Fire.
It is beautiful, and so many people grow it here too. I think it is a little tender for us. We're 5B. They're telling us maybe 6, right. But it's a little tender for us here. But it is just gorgeous, just gorgeous.
So I am thrilled with how the garden is doing. Now I'm getting to the deadheading process, but I love it. People come walking by in the daytime and ask could they have a rose, or it's my mother's birthday, and so I'll make them a bouquet or something. It's just fun.
Oh, it's so fun to give them away. It's so fun. That's the best.
It is.
Well, Suzanne, this has been so fun to get to talk to you and all the good ideas. And let's just end with a quote from Bob Martin. We've talked about him a lot today, but we both miss him, and he was just an amazing person. The quote that I'm thinking of is, remember, in speaking of roses, that we're in this for the fun of it.
And New Horizon Roses every year with that quote.
That's why it was on my mind, and it was paired with a picture I think that Donna had taken of him asleep on the patio in the midst of the garden.
That's right. I couldn't recommend more highly. If you can find an article, Google it, an article by Bob called Why We Show Roses. He gives 8 reasons in reverse order, and just the top captions are, You will help your rose society. You will encourage others to grow roses. You will encourage rose growers to grow better roses. You will learn how to present and display roses. You will learn how to grow better roses. You will learn and reaffirm good personal values. You will meet some very nice people. And number one, you will have a lot of fun.
I've seen him give that, and it is a very good program. He really he taught us how to have fun with roses for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thanks so much for the work you do on New Horizon Roses and so many other things that you do and how you inspire us to grow better roses. I know Bob would be very proud of you.
I certainly hope so.
Well, it's been fun. And friends, thank you for joining us today. The summer heat is on, so be careful out there in the garden. And if you have those Japanese beetles that have come my way, drown them. It'll make you feel better, or at least it makes me feel better. Well, until next time, do have fun in the garden.
You've been listening to the Rose Chat podcast with Chris VanCleave and Teresa Byington, expert rose gardeners who want to help you achieve the rose garden of your dreams. Don't miss an episode. Listen anytime on our website at rosechatpodcast.com or listen on the go via the Rose Chat app on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. Share this podcast with your social networks and join us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram by using the hashtag RoseChat. Join us next time for another edition of the Rose Chat podcast. The Rose Chat podcast is a production of the Rose Chat Media Group, Birmingham, Alabama.